Dear Journal, a while back, Steve, who wants me to remind you he is not a geocacher, and I went to Hopewell Furnace, a national historic site that is a preserved and/or restored iron plantation, a sort of self-sufficient community from the early 1800s. I know it looks like we're just waltzing into someone's house like we own the place, but there are a dozen or so buildings, including this manor house, that are set up as self-guided tours, with pre-recorded audio and voice actors describing life as it was during the time. It also had us asking important questions, such as,
why does fake food look so much better than real food?
So there was an Earth cache here, and to get it you had to answer a slew of questions for the CO, and all that info is contained in the aforementioned audio clips. We studiously visited the various buildings and played the audio, listened intently, and got the information we needed.
But first stop at the charcoal demonstration site and learn the story of charcoal.
I realized after the fact, though, that we just kind of whirled through the village, not actually learning anything, just mindlessly getting what I needed to claim the find. I know early on I made an entry where I stated that I was just trying to get some caches, learn the methods and the tricks of the hiders, and everything else was just background noise. The fact is, Journal, I think that was wrong. I know I have yet to record my deep, dark reasons for wanting to find 10,000 caches, and that won't change today. What will change is my attitude towards getting to that goal. When I say that popular phrase, it's not the destination, it's the journey, I now want that to include the journey of knowledge, with the destination of, getting lots of smarts and stuff. So, with that in mind, on another day, Steve and I went to the Wissahickon, or Wissahickon Valley Park in Philadelphia, a popular location for those inside and around the city. It is one of the largest urban parks in the world, named for the Wissahickon Creek, which runs through it. I wanted to do something with Devil's Pond, which is, well, a hole with water in it, particularly since there was an earth cache there, but it was too crowded to film comfortably, or even give a good search for a nearby traditional cache. This seems like something to visit on an off day, and since there are many treats to be had along the Wissahickon, we simply moved on. Here's some knowledge. Wissahickon comes from an old Lenape Native American word meaning streams of yellowish color. I made a joke from that knowledge. Why is the stream yellow? Lenape! We scoped out the workmanship on an oddly placed but well-constructed log drawer cache on the way back to the extraordinarily limited parking, and then drove to an area that I had my eye on because it has a fresh gadget cache placed there based on an interesting subject: number stations. Number stations are shortwave radio stations that broadcast what most people believe are coded messages to field agents of various three-letter spy agencies. Words, sounds, or most often, numbers are repeated over and over and can be found on all sorts of frequencies, and some have strange tones or creepy songs whose pitch might be relevant to the decoding of the information. One of the more popular ones, and a great way to add ambiance to the walk to the cache, is the Swedish Rhapsody. The cache description clearly indicates you need a few non-standard geocaching supplies, but nothing that your average spy such as myself doesn't have on hand. When you get to the listed coordinates, you are presented with further instructions on how to acquire the information for Stage 2.
Okay. Plate number 1 active. Uh-oh. I hear people. This would be a geocache that would be a little bit harder to explain than the average ammo can in the woods.
Fire up number 1. Wait 10 seconds for transmitter to warm up. Okay. Fire up number 2.
Wait, before you fire up number 2, maybe I'll get this going.
Yes.
Ah. Just have to blow this part on. Oh.
By west 75 degrees 1.
Oh, shit.
3.7.
Well, I'm not going to play the transmission here in my journal. That could get me killed.
Alright. I think we have it. Must have listened to that about 100 times. We would be dead in a real spy situation. Quickly, man! I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. Don't record the radio.
Well, that's
Right.
what I was putting on.
Power it down.
Since the cache owner went out of his way to try and make this idiot-proof, because let's face it, geocaching is so popular now, sometimes you have to bring things down to the lowest stupid denominator to keep people from breaking things, I was expecting the coordinates to be right around the corner, but they were not. And I gotta tell you, this valley is hilly, like a valley. I had my doubts as we neared ground zero, so I'm not showing it because I want others to experience that doubt. However, we found our target, signed the log, and there was room for me to leave a DVD of one of my favorite home movies.
That's a big step.
While searching for a well-hidden cache, which was glued onto a piece of bark, which is a seriously bastard thing to do, and I love it, we came across this fellow just begging to be made into some random tidbit of easily digested knowledge. During the breeding season, the bark beetle sometimes is accompanied by 60 female bark beetles. 60! Enough to make a male from any species tunnel under some bark, you know what I'm saying? Alright, anyway. Going on with the entomological theme, there was an important question about grasshoppers that I was now able to answer due to this cache.
Please extract the container from the anus now.
You can't.
You're the master anus extractor, Steve. I trust in you. Oh.
Okay, Journal, you don't need to know what the question was, alright? You just need to know that I had an answer, okay? The sun was starting to set, so we made our way to a night cache. I've done these before, and I suspect when someone says night cache, they generally mean the use of these reflective trail markers. The coordinates lead you to an area where you start waving your flashlight around, and when you see the markers, which are really difficult to spot in the day, that's the direction you go in, and you keep going until you get to the cache. I don't think there's anything remarkable to learn about or related to little reflective markers, so here's a bit of trivia that just might save your life one day. This is a clip from the movie Blowout. That bridge that John Travolta is on, perving on the owls, that's this bridge right here. Sure, it's miles away from where we were, but it's still along the Wissahickon, and that has to count for something because it's the end of this journal entry. Remember, Journal, you're not supposed to swim in the Wissahickon, and if you do, try not to think about how many of these kids are contributing to these ancient streams of yellow color. Lenape.